Welcome to Beyond the Crisis, How Interconnected Businesses Exhibit Leadership and Resiliency. This paper was originally published in August 2020, along with the following: country analysis for both Canada and the United States. A think piece on how the best-run organizations integrate social and strategic goals. Think pieces for each of the following 10 industries: automotive, banking, consumer products, industrial manufacturing, insurance, oil and gas, professional services, public sector, retail, and utilities. This paper was commissioned by SAP, and the research and final report were published by Oxford Economics, which holds the copyright thereto. This unabridged version was produced in October 2020 by SAP in cooperation with Oxford Economics. Neither this recording nor any portion of it may be reproduced or used for any purpose without prior written authorization from SAP. Beyond the Crisis: How Interconnected Businesses Exhibit Leadership and Resiliency. Introduction. Business works best when every part of an organization, including its external partners and customers, is agile and interconnected. Executives need to ensure that high-quality information is flowing across their entire business ecosystem, allowing all participants to interact in ways that advance the goals of the organization. Doing this effectively requires seeing the web of relationships within and beyond the organizational firewall as a single, unified entity that operates smoothly, dynamically, and as part of a cohesive strategy. This approach to management is known as systems thinking. The results of our global research show that applying systems thinking effectively can improve business performance and help organizations navigate challenging times. SAP and Oxford Economics worked together in the first half of 2020 during the early peak of the coronavirus pandemic to survey 3,000 business executives from around the world and discover how they incorporate this holistic management style into everyday business strategy and operations. We found that many executives have already begun to see measurable results from integrating processes and breaking down functional silos, but most need to improve the way the data is used to commit to further transformation to get full value from their investments. For systems thinking to facilitate critical priorities like growth, innovation, and customer experience, organizations need to make meaningful changes. End-to-end processes and real-time visibility are essential, with interactions extending even beyond ecosystem partners into the wider world, where sustainable, unbiased business increasingly drives consumer behavior. Doing all this requires high-quality data and the ability to make meaning from it, which in turn demands strong employee skills and the right technology. Adding to the challenges is a turbulent economy, with organizations around the world forced to condense years of transformation planning and implementation efforts into mere weeks just to stay in business. Our data show that highly interconnected organizations are better able to work quickly and adapt to changing circumstances and are likely to prove more resilient than siloed enterprises. A small group of respondents is further along than the rest of our survey population, and the rewards of leadership are clear. The benefits from their efforts are wide-reaching and include process efficiency improvements, superior customer and employee satisfaction, and strong financial performance. Systems thinking is a way of seeing the entire web of relationships within and beyond the organizational firewall as a unified entity that operates smoothly, dynamically, and as part of a cohesive strategy. This executive summary will discuss the high-level findings of our research and describe some key areas where executives are making progress, as well as areas where they need to improve. We will examine the business drivers of interconnectivity and the progress to date toward those goals, the importance of a skilled workforce to enabling the interconnected enterprise, how technology investments and data sharing between operational and customer-facing functions boost results, and how our leader group stands out from the rest of the survey sample. About our research. Oxford Economics was commissioned by SAP to conduct a survey of 3,000 business executives. The survey was conducted between March and May 2020 via computer-assisted telephone interviews. Respondents come from the United States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, Nordics, Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Denmark, India, Japan, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. They represent 10 industries evenly distributed across the automotive, banking, consumer products, insurance, industrial manufacturing, oil and gas, professional services, public sector, retail, and utilities sectors. 1/3 come from organizations with between $500 million and $999 million in revenue, 1/3 from organizations with between $1 billion and $9.9 billion in revenue, and 1/3 with $10 billion or more in revenue. In addition to the quantitative survey, Oxford Economics conducted 3 in-depth interviews with executives within the countries surveyed. These conversations shed additional light on the topics covered in this report and offer perspective into how interconnected businesses work today. A holistic approach to management. Systems thinking is a top-of-mind focus for executives in our survey. Many say they are effectively managing end-to-end business processes, facilitating collaboration across their organization, and focusing on social, environmental, and governance excellence. But most are still willing to create a truly interconnected organization. Progress towards this goal varies by industry. See our industry-specific think pieces for details. To meet their goals, decision-makers must rethink their operations and business ecosystems and consider this broad web of relationships as a unified entity. Executives understand that collaboration across functions is a critical component of this evolution. They view interactions with IT, 95%, sales and service, 90%, finance, 88%, and marketing, 85%, as the most critical to success, and they know that systemic changes take work. Collaboration isn't something that happens naturally, says James Fairweather, Chief Innovation Officer at Pitney Bowes, the $3.4 billion shipping, mailing, and e-commerce service business based in Hartford, Connecticut. You have to invest time to build the required language you're going to use with one another, the reports that you're going to share and agree that you're going to review, and then the calendar and cadence on which you're going to review those reports. Achieving the level of collaboration across people, processes, and data required to make all this possible is no small task. Nearly 1/3 say working across their internal functions is highly complex, and 37% say the same for external collaboration. While a large majority, over 85%, have integrated business processes, talent and workforce, and data collection and analysis in at least some areas of the business, doing so across the organization remains a work in progress. Those organizations that are further along in integrating operations are seeing results. Of all benefits listed as options in our survey, executives are most likely to report that business process integration has reduced costs and spend and increased the speed at which they conduct business. Talent and workforce integration has enhanced customer experiences while increasing employee retention, and more than half of those who have integrated the collection and analysis of relevant and GDPR-compliant data have improved leadership's ability to make informed decisions. Refer to Figure 1, Tearing Down the Silos on page 4, and Figure 2, How an Integrated Approach Pays Off on page 5 of the PDF. People-powered interconnections. Establishing a culture that provides purpose and opportunity for the workforce is critical to attracting and retaining the skilled workers needed to make systems thinking successful. An improved employee experience is the top driver of industry reputation for more than half of respondents, and more than 2/3 say they have improved in this area to a significant extent. Prioritizing employee wants and needs becomes even more important in a global crisis. Our core value is, "We do the right things the right way," says Mr. Fairweather of Pitney Bowes. In these times, this focus on doing the right things the right way encompasses making sure we're taking care of the workforce and ensuring worker safety. We make extra effort to keep people informed. We try to make the right operating decisions every day. Executives in our survey are confident in their corporate culture. Over 2/3 say their employees are attracted to their culture, and nearly 3/4, 72%, say it has a positive impact on their ability to provide best-in-class products and services. Despite this confidence, half of respondents say securing skilled talent is a major barrier to carrying out strategic change initiatives, making it the top such challenge in our survey. Executives may need to consider employee experiences more closely. Only 35% say employee satisfaction is a significant influence on business strategy. And just 34% say they have retained employees to work with data, a critical skill for a 21st century workforce. A lack of urgency in integrating other functions with HR may be part of the problem. The HR function is cited as one of the least critical business areas to the success of the organization, despite its role in defining the employee experience. Refer to Figure 3, the culture imperative, on page 6 of the PDF. A sense of purpose. Even the most complex and well-managed organization is part of a larger network of networks involving the society, culture, and world around it. Many leaders are recognizing the role that a larger purpose beyond the immediate business goals plays in attracting employees, satisfying customers, and thus fulfilling strategic initiatives. For Hydro, the $11 billion Norwegian aluminum and renewable energy company, reducing the carbon footprint of products provides an environmental message that customers seek. Our environmental focus definitely gives us a competitive edge, says Chief Information Officer Jode Vlieger. We're one of the first companies that actually does this in a third-party certified way, so it has been quite a success. Hydro's aluminum production produced in plants powered by hydroelectricity emits 75% less CO2 than the global average. Efforts like this should resonate with employees. More than 3/4 of executives surveyed said they effectively provide employees with a sense of purpose. Most claim success in carrying out their social, environmental, and governance initiatives, 84%, which is critical to attracting and retaining skilled workers. More than 2/3 say their environmental reputation provides an advantage when searching for talent, and 64% agree that their environmental focus is valued by current staff. Yet some executives may fail to adequately prioritize or communicate initiatives that define purpose and shape culture. Just over half say they have created and acted on a clear, consistent, purpose-driven message. And social and environmental excellence is rarely cited as a top 3 influence on business strategy, a concerning omission, given that nearly 2/3 say an environmental focus is valued by current staff. Refer to Figure 4, Purpose is Easier Said Than Done, on page 7 of the PDF. Data, the lifeblood of the interconnected enterprise. True systems thinking is enabled by sharing relevant data safely, securely, and in a manner compliant with increasingly demanding regulations. The advantages of a sound data strategy accrue to both customers and employees. Nearly 2/3, 63% of our respondents, say data sharing connects organizations with customers, and 60% say data sharing improves employee experience. Sharing relevant data also drives broad company performance in areas like innovating products and services, 57%, and exceeding performance goals, 55%. Significant efforts to improve how data is used to innovate and improve operations are still in the early stages. For example, only 27% of respondents have changed processes around data cleaning and analysis. One area is top of mind: data protection, especially given a deepening focus on privacy due to regulations like GDPR and headlines about the misuse of personal information. Nearly 2/3 of survey respondents say they have effectively implemented rigorous cybersecurity or data protection initiatives. Beyond the firewall, there's more work to do. About 1/4 have increased data sharing with outside partners, and just 1 in 5 share supply chain data with business partners with moderate or rapid speed. 25% have extended their data governance policies across the business ecosystem. Organizations that have invested more in data analytics and other essential technologies are seeing a variety of benefits. Retraining employees to work better with data and investing in technologies for analysis are among the tactics providing the most value to date. Extending data governance policies across the business ecosystem also yields results. Nearly half cite technology investments as a contributor to improved experiences for both customers and employees, and 46% say they have seen rises in employee productivity. Creating an interconnected enterprise and ecosystem depends on turning data into information. Artificial intelligence is an increasingly important tool for making meaning from data, and slightly more than 1/3 of executives say it has been an investment priority over the past 3 years. 1/3 say IoT, itself a major data generator, has been an investment focus. But technology works best when combined with human expertise. Data by itself can only tell you so much, says Ramesh Iyer, Vice Chairman and Managing Director at Mahindra Finance, the Mumbai-based financial services division of the Indian conglomerate Mahindra Group. That is why the company brings in talent with a deep understanding of local markets. People who come with knowledge of local challenges make a difference. Technology plus data plus understanding of the people, these together builds success. However, blind spots persist for many respondents. Less than one-third have directed investments towards technologies that analyze data, and just 27% cite analytics or predictive analytics as a top 3 investment priority. Refer to Figure 5, Investments in People-Powered Analysis Elevate Data Proficiency on page 8, and Figure 6, Executives are Investing in Intelligent Technologies that Harness Data on page 9 of the PDF. Leaders show how the responsive organization pays off. System thinking leads to quantifiable benefits across organizations. We identified a small group of respondents who are further along in the systems thinking journey than their peers. To qualify for this leader group, the respondents must have integrated business processes, data collection and analysis, and talent and workforce strategies across all functions and operations, and created and acted on a clear and consistent purpose-driven message to a significant extent. Only 6% of our survey sample qualify for this elite group, indicating that fully embracing systems thinking is still a rarity. These organizations appear to know what they're doing. They're more likely to have completely integrated their communication and data sharing processes across the business, 75% versus 22% others. Increased transparency into operations, 88% versus 61%. Broken down organizational silos, 94% versus 68%. And invested in collaborative technologies, 96% versus 73%. Although our data does not establish a clear causal link between systems thinking and strong performance, consistently superior performance among the leader group suggests that holistic management strategies pay off. Leaders are more likely to have seen profit margin increases over the past 3 years, 94% versus 59% others, and are more likely to say their innovation is viewed as better than their industry peers. This group also sees rewards from better data management like data cleaning and analysis. 83% of leaders say this has provided the most value versus 67% others, and extending data governance policies across the business ecosystem, 75% versus 72% others. These strategies ultimately support a broader organizational purpose, though particular goals vary from enterprise to enterprise. Leaders are more focused on culture and social initiatives. They are more likely to say their approach to social issues is rooted in how they organize the company, 95% versus 69% others, and incorporate sustainable alternatives for their products and processes, 91% versus 65%. Conclusion. As organizations embrace the interconnected future, new challenges will arise. To get full value from the systems thinking framework, executives must 1. Interconnect and integrate. Organizations must view operations as though all business relationships, internal and external, are part of the same network. Build this philosophy into all decision-making, nurture collaborative processes, and reap the benefits of interconnectivity. 2. Prioritize the employee experience. Developing a strong culture influences industry reputation and business performance. Attracting the most talented workers should be a strategic priority. Executives must consider the causes that matter to employees and make sure these are reflected in processes and purpose. 3. Share relevant data across functions and beyond. Making sure the right people have access to the right information drives efficiency and productivity. Working closely with vendors and outside partners will be critical to success. Country analysis. Canada. Our survey included respondents from 16 countries around the world. 250 of these respondents are from Canada. Progress toward implementing systems thinking varies by country, but Canadian respondents are making significant efforts to adopt this interconnected way of working, with 6% qualifying for our leader group, on par with the global average. Progress toward interconnectivity. When it comes to creating a network of connected operations, Canadian respondents are mostly keeping pace with global averages. They're about as likely as others to say that their business processes, 44% versus 45% globally, and data collection and analysis, 21% versus 23%, are integrated across functions. Canadian respondents are also facilitating collaboration across the organization. 32% say they're very effective at this, versus 33%. But many believe there is still much to be done before they achieve true systems thinking. Just 22% describe their operations across functions as completely integrated, somewhat behind the global average, 25%. Refer to Figure 11, the Interconnected Enterprise, Canada, on page 13 of the PDF. Workforce strategies. Canadian respondents are more likely to have retained employees to work with data, 42% versus 34% globally, adopted enterprise governance policies, 41% versus 30%, and adjusted their organizational culture, 36% versus 28%, to share information across functions more effectively. They're also somewhat more likely than others to say that leading with purpose is a core goal for their organization. 39% rank this as a top 3 priority, versus just 30% of all other respondents, which could be a significant advantage when securing in-demand skills in the post-pandemic era. Refer to Figure 12, Cross-Function Information Sharing, Canada, on page 14 of the PDF. Data utilization and technology investments. Canadian respondents exhibit relatively mature internal data practices. They excel at making critical information available to internal teams and report moderate to rapid sharing of employee data across functions, 88% versus 81% globally, with operations and sales data close behind, 82% and 74% respectively. However, data sharing with external partners is much less common and an area where respondents across the world can improve. Refer to Figure 13, Cross-Function Information Sharing, Canada, on page 14 of the PDF. Conclusion. Respondents from Canada are making progress toward building the interconnected enterprise. They're ahead of their peers in other countries in terms of upskilling the workforce and developing a purpose-driven culture. With an increased focus on integration and data sharing, Canadian respondents can further develop their systems thinking efforts and reap the rewards of breaking down restrictive silos. Country analysis. The United States. Our survey included respondents from 16 countries around the world. 250 of these respondents are from the United States. Progress towards implementing systems thinking varies by country, but respondents in the United States are making significant efforts to adopt this interconnected way of working, with 12% qualifying for our leader group, twice as high as the global average, 6%. Progress toward interconnectivity. Respondents from the United States are integrating business functions and processes to support organizational goals. They're more likely than their peers in other countries to have an integrated cross-functional approach to essential elements of the business, including processes, data collection and analysis, and workforce operations. American respondents are much more likely than the global average to facilitate collaboration across the organization. 45% say they are very effective in this area, versus 33% globally. Refer to Figure 8, the Interconnected Enterprise, United States, on page 11 of the PDF. Workforce strategies. A substantial number of respondents in the United States, 42%, identify a shortage of skilled talent as a major barrier to strategic change. Although other countries are even more likely to cite this as a concern, few have fully created the collaborative work environment that attracts workers today. Just 14% have broken down organizational silos to enable collaboration. But many are making progress. 20% say they have fully implemented collaborative technologies, versus 13% globally, and nearly 2/3 have integrated external workers into operations and culture. Refer to Figure 9, Creating Meaningful Experiences, United States, on page 12 of the PDF. Data utilization and technology investments. Respondents in the United States are focused on technology implementation and efficient data sharing, and most are keeping pace with their peers around the world. They're just as likely as other countries to have increased data sharing between functions and to have changed their processes around data cleaning and analysis. 1/3 have invested in artificial intelligence, roughly on par with our global average, but more than 1/4 have invested in machine learning, a result surpassed only by German respondents, 28%. Refer to Figure 10, Cross-Function Information Sharing, United States, on page 12 of the PDF. Conclusion. Respondents in the United States are leaders in many aspects of systems thinking, as evidenced by their commitment to integrating processes and operations across ecosystems and functions, and to investing in new technologies. An increased focus on designing collaborative work environments and further emphasis on cross-functional information sharing will ensure that systems thinking will continue to advance. Leading with purpose. How the best-run organizations integrate social, strategic, and environmental goals. Introduction. Managing for a higher purpose not tracked by traditional performance metrics has become an expectation at companies around the world. But it takes more than good intentions for those efforts to provide real value for the communities they serve and the companies that sponsor them. SAP and Oxford Economics set out in early 2020 to survey 3,000 executives about the value of creating and managing highly interconnected organizations. We hypothesize that executives who focus on the ways each part of the company and its business ecosystem relates and responds to the other parts, an approach known as systems thinking, will naturally extend their attention to how the company fits into the wider world. We also included questions about culture and purpose in a series of in-depth interviews conducted with senior executives. The results of the study suggest a connection between systems thinking, including a focus on purpose, and business outcomes. Companies that are managed holistically and work with customers and employees to better society tend to outperform their industry peers in areas including innovation, employee retention, and profitability growth. We also found evidence that purpose programs benefit from a clear relationship to deeper organizational goals. As Harvard Business School professor Rebecca Henderson said in a 2019 online presentation, thinking about purpose. Adopting a purpose will not hurt your performance if you do it authentically and well. If you're able to link your purpose to the strategic vision of the company in a way that really gets people aligned and facing in the right direction, then you have the possibility of outperforming your competitors. Most of the executives we surveyed are still working on the basics of systems thinking, including business processes that work across ecosystems, new talent strategies, advanced data management, and weaving purpose into the organizational DNA. This paper highlights opportunities and challenges for executives as they define their mission, outline strategies for fulfilling it, and work to stay accountable to their goals and values. Thinking beyond the enterprise. Mumbai-based Mahindra Finance earns much of its $1.7 billion in revenue by making loans in rural India, reaching many first-time borrowers who lack established credit. The company's purpose programs build directly upon this foundation, creating a tight relationship between the core business and all other operations. First and foremost is the business model itself, says Vice Chairman and Managing Director Ramesh Iyer. To further both its business and social goals, Mahindra Finance supports a series of educational programs in the communities it serves, aimed especially at women. We really want to increase financial literacy at the rural level, says Mr. Iyer. We have made some very strong commitments toward how we educate women to understand the basics of financing. Other courses aim to increase independence for women by teaching them to drive and service vehicles. The organic relationship between Mahindra Finance's lending business and its purpose-driven investments represents systems thinking at a high level. Not every company can boast the same degree of interconnection between its operational and social missions, but many organizations share similar priorities. When survey respondents rated the importance of the UN Sustainable Development Goals to their companies, gender equity and reduced inequalities, like Mahindra is doing via education and by introducing financing in rural India, topped the list. Refer to Figure 1. Executives say inequality is top of mind on page 3 of the Lending with Purpose PDF. It is striking that climate action does not register as a higher priority for our respondents, given the growing awareness of this global crisis, consumer demand for sustainability, and a general sense of corporate buy-in to the issue. Our data shows that just 12% of respondents say that environmental factors are a top influence on business strategy. One reason for this lack of emphasis may be that the UN global goals offer multiple opportunities on this front. For example, sustainable cities and communities, and affordable and clean energy, both options on our list, which could be seen as elements of a broader climate action imperative. Executives also may prioritize goals more within their direct control, like pay equity, for which they can demonstrate more accountability, rather than issues that extend far beyond the organization's walls. But tackling climate issues like reducing carbon footprints and participating in circular economies should remain in focus. Our survey respondents acknowledge both environmental and social issues as major concerns for employees and an important driver of reputation and recruitment. Reducing their carbon footprint has proven to be an excellent business decision for Hydro, the $11 billion Norwegian aluminum and renewable energy company. In an interview conducted for this survey, Chief Information Officer Jo de Vlieger outlined how producing aluminum in plants powered by hydroelectricity emits 75% less CO2 than the global average. That means automotive companies and other major customers can tout the environmental merits of their products made with hydroaluminum to their customers. It definitely gives us a competitive edge, says Mr. de Vlieger. When it comes to overall purpose, our respondents are relatively confident about their efforts. Over half say they've created and acted on a clear, consistent, and purpose-driven vision, and more than 3/4 say they have effectively provided employees with a sense of purpose. Dig a little deeper, though, and execution appears to lag those claims. While over 2/3 of respondents have entered the piloting stage of incorporating sustainable alternatives for all products and processes, just 12% say they have fully implemented these initiatives. Creating purpose-driven projects with real impact and relevance to the corporate mission and staying accountable to those goals is clearly a work in progress. Purpose-driven leadership. We sifted through our 3,000 survey responses to identify companies that are outperforming their peers by certain key measures of systems thinking, including purpose. This leader group makes up just 6% of all respondents, indicating that most companies are still catching up to the immense management challenges of breaking down silos across the organizations and creating consensus on the strategic value of purpose. Leaders are far more likely than other respondents to say they have integrated communication and data sharing processes across the business, increased transparency into operations, broken down organizational silos, and invested in collaborative technologies. Each of them reports they have created and taken meaningful action on a clear and consistent purpose-driven message. Refer to Figure 2. Data sharing supports strategic goals, including sustainability, on page 4 of the Leading with Purpose PDF. The economist Alex Edmans writes in his new book, Grow the Pie: How Great Companies Deliver Both Purpose and Profit, that organizations with a primary focus on social value instead of the bottom line often turn out to be more profitable than others, in part because they make long-term investments that are not measured by financial results. In this scenario, business is not a zero-sum game, but can grow along multiple dimensions at the same time. Our leaders are more focused than other organizations surveyed on culture and social initiatives, and, in keeping with the observation that purpose should flow naturally from the underlying business, are more likely to say their approach to social issues is rooted in how they organize the company. Our research does not establish a clear causal link between behaviors and outcomes, but we can say leaders greatly outperformed other respondents in areas including innovation, employee engagement and retention, and profit margin increases over the past 3 years. Purpose and people. A clear, consistent purpose helps humanize businesses by making qualities like empathy and collaboration part of their brand identity. Consumers and employees respond positively to shared goals and values and increasingly make decisions about where to shop and work accordingly. In an interconnected world, it's not enough to do the right thing within an organization itself. Consumers and employees want to know that a company's suppliers and partners reflect the same corporate values in areas including sustainability, labor practices, and ethical sourcing. This makes it even more important for executives to gain visibility across entire business ecosystems and spread the value of purpose up and down the value chain. Our survey respondents emphasized the importance of purpose in attracting and retaining the right employees and developing a healthy corporate culture, a trend reported in several recent academic studies. Creating and acting on a clear and consistent purpose-driven message is a top driver of industry reputation for 37% of executives in our survey, and 70% say their social reputation provides an advantage when searching for skilled talent, with similar numbers reporting that their environmental focus is valued by current staff. A promise without a plan can backfire, though. Companies must deliver on their promises instead of just playing to public opinion, for example, greenwashing, or wrapping an unfriendly environmental policy in eco-friendly messaging. One example of the disconnect between intention and action, despite recognizing the importance of culture, only 11% of executives say they have fully implemented a feedback system for employee suggestions, and just 35% say employee satisfaction is a significant influence on business strategy. with only 7% saying it's a top driver. Perhaps this is a reason half say securing skilled talent is a major barrier to carrying out strategic change initiatives, the top such challenge in our survey. Refer to Figure 3, A Culture Disconnect, on page 5 of the Leading with Purpose PDF. Pitney Bowes, the $3.2 billion technology company based in Stamford, Connecticut, aims for a solid alignment between its personnel strategies and purpose work centered on talent development and diversity within its local communities. The century-old company, known for producing postage meters and simplifying commerce for retailers, built its programs deliberately over many years. We've worked very hard to ensure that our workforce mirrors the diversity of the town in which we are building and operating machines, says Chief Innovation Officer James Fairweather. We're trying to help children become better educated in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics because that is essential to our sustainable future. Data-powered and purpose-driven. Data is the lifeblood of systems thinking and a source of enormous power in the digital era. But keeping data safe and private and using it only as agreed to and understood by consumers and partners is an ethical requirement as much as a legal one. Managing the massive data flows associated with increasingly essential technologies like artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things comes with a high degree of reputational and financial risk, but it is essential to supporting purpose programs. For example, customers expect businesses to extend purpose-driven initiatives along the value chain. Researchers at the MIT Sloan School of Management have found that investing in supply chain visibility helps companies gain consumer trust and can even lead to increased sales from certain customers. Increasing supply chain visibility always strengthens consumer trust, the researchers write. Furthermore, opportunities exist for a trust-driven revenue benefit due to greater visibility. See reference cited on page 6 of the Leading with Purpose PDF. The demand for transparency is apparent in our survey too. 53% of respondents believe their customers expect visibility into the sourcing and manufacture of their products and services. Doing this well takes data, and many of our respondents are still working to modernize their operations accordingly. Only 27% say they've changed processes around data cleaning and analysis, and only 20% share supply chain data with relevant business partners with moderate or rapid speed. Ultimately, says Mr. Iyer of Mahindra Finance, data management works best when it reflects a broader awareness of society. People who come with knowledge of local challenges make a difference. Technology plus data plus understanding of the people, these together build success. Conclusion. Leading with purpose is more than a fad. It is serious business that must be backed up with action and accountability now more than ever given current health, social justice, and climate crises. Leaders, customers, investors, and employees demand it. And, as Alan Jope, CEO of Unilever, has said, brands with purpose grow, companies with purpose last, and people with purpose thrive. How can businesses reconfigure their operations to successfully execute on both strategic and social goals? 1. Align the mission. Organizations that seek to solve societal or environmental problems related to their core competencies are more likely to achieve their goals and satisfy shareholders' expectations for financial performance as well. 2. Create a culture of purpose. Effectively fulfilling a mission is about more than the outcomes. It's also about how the work gets done. An organization's purpose should be reflected in the values modeled by senior leadership, the way teams work together, and the products they produce. 3. Manage with metrics. Purpose and business goals should be aligned, measurable, and include clear timelines with specific objectives defined for different parts of the business, and executives must install accountability protocols for all purpose initiatives. 4. Apply systems thinking. Rather than creating a task force, think about how each part of the business from accounting and HR to supply chain and logistics can contribute to the overall purpose of the organization. 5. Extend values to the digital realm. Data is power, and power must be used responsibly. Digital investments should be deployed in ways consistent with an organization's culture, values, and purpose. The Public Sector Transformation Imperative: Serving Citizens Through Connections, Transparency, and Purpose-Led Leadership. Introduction. The public sector becomes even more important in a crisis. Demand for social services has skyrocketed in response to COVID-19 and the resulting economic turmoil, with governments under pressure to redesign everything from budgets and processes to the way services are delivered. Responding quickly to these challenges requires public sector organizations to take a cohesive, flexible approach to their operations. They must focus on engaging employees, improving collaboration with internal and external stakeholders, and upgrading technology, all of which could be especially challenging for a sector often plagued by bureaucracy, legacy systems, and limited funding. The results of our research, which included results from 300 senior executives from the public sector, show that this interconnected approach to management can increase effectiveness as organizations navigate uncertainty. In fact, a small subset, 6% of respondents, qualified as leaders in applying systems thinking, and their efforts have paid off in a number of ways. While public sector organizations are making progress in many areas, most still have work to do when it comes to collaboration and data sharing. Meet the leaders. We sifted through our 3,000 survey responses to identify companies that are outperforming their peers by certain key measures of systems thinking. This leader group makes up just 6% of all respondents, indicating that most companies are still catching up to the immense management challenges of the digital era. Public sector respondents account for 9% of this group, slightly above our survey average. Leaders are far more likely than other respondents to say they have integrated communication and data sharing processes across the business, increased transparency into operations, broken down organizational silos, and invested in collaborative technologies. Each of them reports that they have created and taken meaningful action on a clear and consistent purpose-driven message. Refer to Figure 1, Leaders Share Information and Reap the Rewards, on page 2 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative PDF. A single survey cannot establish a clear causal link between behaviors and outcomes, but we can say leaders greatly outperformed other respondents in areas including innovation, employee engagement and retention, and profit margin increases over the past 3 years. They are more focused on culture and social initiatives and more likely to say their approach to social issues is rooted in how they organize the company. Prioritizing purpose. Many organizations claim a commitment to changing the world, but for the public sector, purpose should be everything. It is unsurprising, then, that the sector is far more likely than others to prioritize establishing a purpose-driven vision and strategy around social and environmental issues. Public sector respondents in our survey are more likely to say excelling in environmental, social, and governance (ESG) metrics influences their organizational strategy. 20% rank it as their top goal versus 4% total. About half, 49%, say leading with purpose, for example, by focusing on social and environmental change, is a priority for success, versus 30% total. Acting on these priorities improves employee satisfaction and talent attraction, all the more important since 61% cite a shortage of skilled talent as a barrier to meeting strategic change initiatives, compared with 50% of the total. Nearly three-quarters, 71%, say their organization's environmental focus is valued by employees, and 82% say they are effectively providing employees with a sense of purpose. Moreover, most agree that their social, 78%, and environmental, 74%, reputations provide an advantage when searching for skilled talent. Boosting collaboration with the HR function could help organizations attract the talent they need. While nearly 1 in 5, 18%, say interaction with the HR function is absolutely critical to success at their organization, compared with just 12% total, others in the sector could be undervaluing HR's role in meeting workforce goals, as nearly 1/3, 32%, say interaction with the HR department is not critical to success. Upgrading the employee experience. Attracting purpose-driven, highly skilled talent is only one part of the equation for success. Public sector organizations must also create the right employee experiences to retain the dedicated employees who keep services available to those who need them most, identify and work to solve pressing challenges, and help citizens respond to crises. Public sector organizations in our survey seem to understand this imperative. Over half, 56%, say employee satisfaction has the greatest influence on organizational strategy, well above the 35% cross-industry average. Prioritizing employees means investing in their experiences. More than half, 54%, of public sector respondents say improving employee experience would advance their reputation as an industry leader. Refer to Figure 2, Purpose and Employee Satisfaction are Priorities, on page 3 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. They are also more likely than others to say they have personalized employee experiences, 50%, or created a feedback system for employee suggestions, 42%. Decisions that have led to increased employee engagement, according to more than one-third of respondents. But some areas could use improvement. Only about one-fifth, 22%, have completely executed decisions that would improve the employee experience, and just under half, 48%, restructured their organizations to accommodate the way people actually live and work. And it is not enough to focus on internal talent sources. Contract workers, external partners, suppliers, and other organizations within the public sector ecosystem must also be part of the conversation. Just 41% agree that their external workforce is well integrated into operations and culture. Focusing on the citizen experience. In general, public sector executives are confident that their brand is perceived positively by the citizens they serve in terms of ethical operations, dedication to social change, and net impact on the environment. Maintaining this trust will demand an ongoing focus on process improvement and transparency, especially as disruptions like COVID-19 require governments to create solutions, for example, contact tracing apps that require citizen buy-in. For some, transparency is completely overlooked as a key component in building trust with citizens. 13% of public sector respondents have not increased transparency into their operations at all. Roughly half, 54%, of respondents ranked implementing rigorous cybersecurity and data protection initiatives among the top 3 factors that would advance their industry reputation. Refer to Figure 2, Purpose and Employee Satisfaction are Priorities, on page 3 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. Acting on this initiative, which 2/3 have done completely or to a significant extent, can reduce fraud, waste, and abuse, consequently deepening citizen trust. Leaders, respondents from across industries who best apply the concepts of systems thinking to manage their organizations, are more likely than others to have carried out cybersecurity and data protection initiatives. Building an interconnected organization, integrating functions, boosting collaboration, and simplifying processes are all essential to building an interconnected organization. More than 3/4, 77%, of public sector respondents say they have integrated their business processes in all or most of their functions, and many say they effectively manage these processes end-to-end, 91% versus 83% total, facilitate collaboration across the organization, 84% versus 78% total, and align management tactics with organizational goals, 83% versus 76% total, although they're more likely to say they are somewhat effective rather than very effective in carrying out these initiatives. At the same time, just 21% say their organization's operations across functions are completely integrated in terms of communication, data sharing, and process management, and 41% identify a lack of effective collaboration across functions as a barrier to carrying out strategic change initiatives. The sector's complexity in a number of key areas, along with its reliance on legacy systems and bureaucratic processes, may help explain these silos. For instance, public sector respondents are more likely than others to say working with outside partners and across functions is highly complex for their organization. Refer to Figure 3, Complexity in Collaboration, on page 5 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. About 1/4, 26%, say the reliance on outdated ways of working is a barrier to carrying out strategic change initiatives. James Fairweather, Chief Innovation Officer at Pitney Bowes, the $3.2 billion postage meter and mailing business based in Stamford, Connecticut, emphasizes the importance of simple and efficient processes to managing complexity across the organization, lessons that can be applied in the public sector as well. You have to know the processes you want to follow, and the processes have to be both clear and simple, says Mr. Fairweather. And then you have to have a good communication system that can inform all parties about where you are in each step of a process, so everyone can stay on the same page. This approach to simplifying processes has supported closer collaboration between the finance and engineering teams at Pitney Bowes, which in turn has improved forecasting and decision-making across the organization. Data-driven and digital. Effectively distributing public resources is easier when data can flow across entire ecosystems to improve decision-making, increase efficiency, and reduce fraud and abuse. New Zealand's government, for example, changed its laws to increase data sharing between agencies, resulting in improved welfare outcomes for citizens. See first reference cited on page 6 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. In the United States, there are calls to improve data sharing efforts and infrastructure between public health agencies and the federal government to facilitate meaningful COVID-19 tracking. See second reference cited on page 6 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. While regulations on data privacy, like Europe's General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR) protocols, might serve as a constraint on data sharing, public sector organizations must find ways to securely and ethically exchange information in order to maximize collaboration within their ecosystems. But data sharing with partners, which could include other public sector departments or private companies, is dramatically lower for the public sector. In fact, a full 21% have no plans to increase data sharing with their partners. Refer to Figure 4. Data sharing with external partners needs improvement on page 6 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. Many do not have the processes in place to effectively share data. For example, just 1/3 have retrained employees to work with data or invested in technologies to analyze data. Refer to Figure 5. Few have implemented the processes needed to improve data sharing on page 6 of the Public Sector Transformation Imperative, PDF. Over 1/3, 36%, cite insufficient or weak analysis of data as a barrier to carrying out strategic change initiatives. Data sharing practices and technology investments pay off in many areas, including improving citizen and employee experiences. Other benefits to data sharing that are important for interconnectedness within the public sector include improvements to internal efficiencies, 55%, and filling skills gaps, 56%. As the public sector increases investment in new digital technologies like artificial intelligence, 42% have invested in AI over the past 3 years, and predictive analytics, 39%, to meet their goals, effective data collection and analysis will become even more critical. Conclusion. The public sector boasts many strengths, including its ability to attract talent and improve citizens' lives. But the sector must adopt an interconnectors mentality to reap benefits ranging from simplified processes to improved talent retention. How can public sector organizations reshape their strategies to survive the disruption ahead? 1. Increase transparency to deepen trust. Leading with purpose yields an array of benefits, including better citizen experiences. But the sector must understand and meet their constituents' expectations around transparency, especially in times of crisis. 2. Simplify processes to reduce complexity. Public sector respondents are among the most likely to experience complexity when it comes to collaboration across functions and across the ecosystem, a critical component of an interconnected organization. Often dependent on old ways of working, the sector must reduce bureaucratic systems and become more integrated, mainly by simplifying processes. 3. Boost secure data sharing with government and private sector partners. Organizations within the public sector report efficient flows of data between functions, and many are seeing the results of their investments in data collection, analysis, and sharing. But to be true leaders, respondents must prioritize data sharing with their partners. This initiative starts with upskilling the workforce and implementing processes to facilitate the flow of relevant information. 4. Prioritize HR integration to retain talent. Public sector organizations are leaders in prioritizing social and environmental purpose to attract top talent, but can do better to keep their employees motivated. Improving the integration of HR and talent functions across the organization is key to enhancing employee experiences. About Oxford Economics. Oxford Economics is a leader in global forecasting, quantitative analysis, and thought leadership. Our worldwide client base comprises more than 1,500 international corporations, financial institutions, government organizations, and universities. Headquartered in Oxford with offices around the world, we employ 400 staff, including 250 economists and analysts. Our best-in-class global economic and industry models and analytical tools give us an unmatched ability to forecast external market trends and assess their economic, social, and business impact. About SAP. As the market leader in enterprise application software, SAP helps companies of all sizes in all industries run at their best. Our machine learning, Internet of Things, and advanced analytics technologies turn businesses into intelligent enterprises. And SAP applications and services enable more than 437,000 customers to operate profitably and adapt continuously. With a global network of customers, partners, employees, and thought leaders, SAP helps the world run better and improve people's lives. For more information, visit sap.com. To learn more about SAP's views on purpose, visit sap.com/purpose. We hope you've enjoyed this unabridged production of Beyond the Crisis: How Interconnected Businesses Exhibit Leadership and Resiliency from SAP in cooperation with Oxford Economics. Produced and directed by SAP. Text copyright August 2020 by Oxford Economics. Production copyright October 2020 by SAP. All rights reserved. Thank you for listening. To download a PDF version of this report, please visit sap.com/Oxford Economics. That's sap.com/Oxford Economics.